Today, we're sort of having a detour in our series on the book of Revelation. It's hard to talk about all these trumpets and vials and judgment and seals while we're talking about the mothers today and celebrating this Mother's Day. However, it is not far away from the theme that Apostle John was trying to convey in his gospel letters and the apocalypse. Primarily because if you will understand it, John started the gospel with the eternal word that was with God and was God at the very beginning. And you will find that history is encapsulated in eternity, which by we have the beginning and the ending, but as far as eternity is concerned, it is engulfed by such the vastness of eternity. And that is what we are seeing in terms of how Christ is revealed prior to the incarnation, and then as we are looking at the revelation after the resurrection and ascension. And that's why at least we can still be faithful in such the theme of Apostle John. As we could see, at least, John was studying about how he portrayed Jesus Christ as someone who's so glorious. We can find that and that we are trying to relate to our theme for the year, and it will be more projected sometime in June about seeing the glory of Jesus here. And one thing good about it is wherever Jesus is, he can be glorious, whether in history or in eternity. And that is why John has chosen at least 7 occasions whereby he was saying, you know what? We have seen Jesus in his glorious appearance. Not just during the transfiguration, he was there during the time, but even in the day-to-day, moment by moment, walking with him, learning with him, seeing him. And he is the kind of Jesus that everybody should know. So, right there, the very first thing that he was saying is, he presented Jesus as a miracle worker. In John chapter 2, that was the very first time Jesus was sort of launching his ministerial years. And if you are launching your ministry, is it but proper to find some place to say, this is it? But most of the time when people are launching, they would like to make it so big and so spectacular. Jesus, during this time, was invited in a wedding. And not only that Jesus was invited in a wedding, there was a very peculiar narration of John how Jesus' mother was there. That's quite something. Because later on, you will find that during the crucifixion, one of the 7 last words of Jesus was entrusting Mary to John, the writer of this gospel in the Apocalypse, and John being a son to Mary. Like, mother, this is your son. Son, this is your mother. And then afterwards, John took her to his home and cared for that. So, it is very intentional that John was reporting about the presence of Mary, the mother of Jesus, there at the wedding. She would be doing a very important role. Maybe the bride and the groom were quite close relative, whichever would be falling on that category. But what we are seeing here is Jesus was inaugurating his ministry right where the family is celebrating. And so the manifestation here is something like, wow, the spectacular event of God when He is working is not just in the Red Sea when He will divide it. It's not only during in the wilderness providing the food in the manna. It's not only Jesus walking on the water and feeding the 5,000. It's right there in a very special occasion when family is about to begin. And that's wonderful because it looks like God is so much interested in that. Right at the creation, after creating everything, as if you are saying that He created everything because He's going to officiate the first wedding between Adam and Eve. And now here He is launching His ministry, and He is now presenting how His glory will be revealed in a wedding. And as we go on in our series of Revelation, as we go next week, we will find that even that it will be culminating into a wedding between the Lamb and the bride. So it must be something so important to Him about beginning of human relationship, the basic of human relationship, which is the marriage. But in that sense too, you would see the peculiarity and the wonders of this interrelationship. There's a wedding, a couple. There's now the mother of Jesus. There's now Jesus with His disciples. What an interaction of the family. Primarily that we are saying that even here and now, if you would like to see the manifestation of God's powerful intervention, it's not in the church. It's not in the big stadium. It's where you are now. In your living room, in your place, at home. That's a wonderful manifestation that say God is here. And just proclaim it, everybody at home. God is here. And it would make a big difference when we understand it that way. When Jesus is being seen as part of the family. I know by this time some of you are already, we wake up in the morning, mother, father, children, what's for breakfast, what's for lunch, what's for this. And unless you would have some frontliners as your parents who has no choice but to go. So, but what we're seeing is the centrality of the family right there when Jesus was launching His ministry. Then we go on and start seeing that He did it, that while they were at the wedding, there was a problem. I don't know, maybe you're the family that's unique, that there is no problem at all. But it looks like, having been in the ministry for so long and as a family counselor for so long, it looks like family is one of the best production or producer of problems. We are discovering that through the years. Problem between husband and wife, problem between parents and children, and things like that. So Jesus was at the wedding, and there was a problem during the time. And because there was a problem, Jesus was informed. It's a wonderful thing here. The mother of Jesus, again, comes into the picture. And look at that in chapter 2, verse 3. When the wine was gone, Jesus' mother said to Him, they have no more wine. Now, she did not request Jesus to do something about, hey, can you do some miracles today? But what being said here is that Mary was informing Jesus about the situation and the problem in this wedding, in this family that's beginning. Now, of all people there, who do you think knew Jesus the most? The disciples were with Him, but they have not seen Jesus the way Mary saw Jesus even before He was born. Remember, there was an angel who came just to say, hey, Mary, or not hey, hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. Then you see the salutation saying you're having a child. And not only that, the traveling to Bethlehem and all of that, and the time that the child was born, how could she forget the time when the shepherds were there, leaving the flock by night? And Luke says there that Mary treasured all these things in her heart. And then later on, the Magi came from the east, visiting and said, "What is it with this child?" She already knew because Gabriel already said to her, "This is the Son of the Most High that you are bearing with." You know, what a privilege and a burden to have Jesus as your child. When you're a mother like that to him. That you just don't know how great to see the Messiah, the Son of God, or God the Son right there, growing up, having the privilege of seeing him, and then how they were guided to go to Egypt. Mary was full of those experiences about this glorious Son, Jesus Christ. At the same time, it could be a normal request because there are occasions that when they are having a wedding, it will last at least 3 to 4 or even a week celebration. So in the course of time, something might be missing. And at this moment, the wine ran out. And part of that, to support the newly wed couple, is every visitor would try to contribute and help, whether on monetary basis, or there will be some in kind, or there will be some wine and things like that. And so in a sense, customarily, being the eldest in the family, Mary was saying, "Son, can you contribute something about this? The wine has run out." But notice the response of Jesus. "Dear woman, why do you involve me?" Jesus replied, "My time has not yet come." To others, it will be a disrespectful way, but this is a very respectful way in terms of how to respond. The more accurate translation here is "dear lady," not just woman. Dear lady, madam, ma'am, dear ma'am. And the reason we say "my time has not yet come," he's not going to publicize the miracle or the grandeur of his glory, not in this wedding. And that is why later on we will find the reason why he did it secretly, in a very subtle way, in a very hidden way, that only the servants would know about the miracle. And Jesus and that. Because his time has not yet come in terms of publicizing how he can feed the 5,000, how he can do all these great miraculous signs. But what comes next about this mother is not only there is a mother who knew her son, not only there is a mother who respected her son, and look at this mother in verse 5. His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." How's that? At many times when people are coming to Jesus, we are telling him how to help us. We are telling him how to fix our problems. Yes, we have so many prayer requests, and then we will tell, "Lord Jesus, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do that?" But what's so wonderful about this mother is she knows her son, and she respected her son so much that she would say to the servants, "He knows what to do. Let him fix this his way, his timing. Because I know my son in that sense to say he is the most reliable person I can count on." So this is after 30 years of seeing him grow. During this time, maybe the other brothers and sisters are not into faith yet. They are not believing Christ yet. And that's why they might not be the one that Mary would be approaching about the problem. But it's wonderful to know that whenever there's something wrong in the family, when there's something wrong in the relationship, it's good to know that there is someone you can come to ask for help. And we can learn from this mother that she knows where to go. She knows what to do if there's some problem. She will go to Jesus. And that's a big lesson for us here who are confined most of the time in our home. Can you just say that? I know where to go. Well, we are confined at home, and it is to Jesus. Whatever is going through here and then, and whatever is difficulties we're having, either as husband and wife, as parents, kids, in whatever the future, how the future would take care, will be taken care of, there is someone you can run to. And in this case, this mother knows best. She would run. She would call. She would inform the best person. It's Jesus. Can we do that also in our family today? That we will not run out of someone who can take care of us, no matter how dreadful and fearful the situation would be. Now you would understand why I had to choose again this passage rather than go to the Revelation, because it revealed that the most glorious moments of Jesus prior to disciples knowing him was presented to his mother in the family. And I hope that our respective families will not run out of someone like that. Always. Even now. That the greatest thing you can give and you can project to your children, grandchildren, to your relatives, to your friends, to your brothers and sisters, to your parents, is the reality that Jesus can be there. And the couples would be saying, I'm so glad Jesus was invited in the wedding. I'm so glad that Jesus was there. How many weddings and how many marriages that Jesus was not invited? We have invited so many prominent people to be there. We have invited so many big names, or this, oh, let's invite this guy. So this is the VIP. But the most important of all, don't neglect to invite Jesus. Jesus was at the wedding, and it made a big difference. Jesus should be in our families, and he will make a big difference. Do we see that this way? Do we see Jesus this way, even today? So there was a problem. Jesus was informed, and so there were instructions given. Remember, Mary said to the servants, do whatever he tells you to do. And here comes Jesus telling them what to do. Now, verse 6, nearby stood 6 stone water jars, the kind used by Jews for ceremonial washing, each holding from 20 to 30 gallons. So approximately, we're talking about 120 to 180 gallons of water here. Now, these are not just jars. They were specifically used for ceremonial purposes, purification. So, in other words, a chosen type of stone jars, because the stone would be keeping it pure. The wood will not, the wooden vessel can contaminate the water, but when there is now the stone jars, it means it can remain pure. It's not easy to contaminate the stone. And that's why the purest of the water, when you see the spring, are with those minerals and stones and all of that come flowing through. And those were the kind of jars that were there. And it is also being used in terms of purification of hands and that in order for you to ceremonially be pure before in the presence of God or in the community. So the instruction then was given. Jesus said to the servants, fill the jars with water. So they filled them to the brim. Wow, what a complete obedience. They could have just filled 1 jar or 2 jars or 4 jars or half of it or 3/4 or what. You're talking about 120 gallons being pulled right away during that time. And imagine how many servants are coming back and forth to the water and making sure that the water is pure enough and good enough so that it will be put in that place. And what an instruction, and yet what a way to fulfill it. Then verse 8 would be another instruction, sets of instructions. Then he told them, now draw some out, okay? And then take it to the master of the banquet. Wow, what a refreshing water. as if he would like to purify the master of the banquet. I'm going to bring this ceremonial water, cleansing water to the master of the banquet. So there were instructions, and what happened here is there was complete obedience. Jesus was obeyed. Remember what Mary was telling to the servants? Do whatever he tells you. And they did. They filled the jars to the brim. When he said, draw out some and bring it to the master, they did so. What a complete recognition and respect to what Jesus was saying and doing right here. Maybe primarily, if we are still looking from time to time, wishing for some miraculous thing to happen, wishing for some change to happen in our family, maybe what's lacking there would be the obedience. Jesus has given us so many instructions of how we are going to live as husband and wife, and how as parents will be to our children, and how as children to the parents, and how as we are going to really see how to project the future. Seek ye first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. What you are seeing is the complete involvement of Jesus. And if we will just be heeding enough instructions from him and willing to say, yes, Lord, I obey, we could have been experiencing tremendous things in our families today. And right here, right there, the servants fulfilled, the servants obeyed. There was obedience was in the air. And sometimes if we are asking how God will be working in our family, just visit again our obedience. How obedient am I to God as a husband? How obedient am I to God as a wife? How obedient am I to God as a father and mother and as a child? When there is so much respect unto Jesus, you are ready for something in the family. And that's why here comes what happened. Let's say it. There was a miracle. Wow. Verse 9. The master of the banquet tasted the water that has been turned into wine. He did not realize it, where it had come from. Though the servants know where it come from, who had drawn the water knew. And so then he called the bridegroom and said aside, and said, everyone brings out the choice wine first, then the cheaper wine after the guests have had too much to drink. But you have saved the best till now. It's like when you are a Coke lover, serve them Coke. And when they have some time, send them and let them have Pepsi for next time. They don't know the difference. No, I'm just kidding about that. No, he was appreciating how this is something about this couple and about this wedding and about this marriage that you can be proud of. That because of the presence of Jesus, because of what Jesus can do, he saved them from ridicule and from embarrassment. Just imagine how much embarrassment we have been spared from if we have just heeded and we have just invited Jesus into our home, into our lives. It will make a great, great difference at all. Because Jesus was there. Jesus is in our lives. Jesus is in our family. So that when you look around you, there will be a big difference the way we relate with one another, the way we look at the future, the way we look at the past, because this Jesus can do something in our past so that we will be able to forgive. And this Jesus can do something in the future so that we can always look forward with anticipation. And this Jesus can do something in the present so that we will be able to have peace. What a wonderful experience. What a wonderful miracle. And this is a call for us at home. But it did not stop there. The miracle was not just to keep the couple and to keep the wedding from embarrassment and ridicule, especially in a shame culture context. It was not just to save the face of the family. What's the main purpose of such a miracle? There was faith. The act of believing, getting to know, putting the trust. And notice here, this is the first of his miraculous signs Jesus performed at Cana in Galilee. The first miraculous signs. And what was the end result? It says, he thus revealed his glory, and his disciples put their faith in him. How's that? Why do you think Jesus is helping you get out of so many problems in the family? Why do you think Jesus is doing so many things in our lives? It is not just so that we can just go on with our lives and say, wow, good that my problem is solved, good that I was able to overcome this and overcome that. It is so that our faith in him will increase, that we will learn how to trust him more every day throughout the year, so that there will be no time that you would say, I long on the first day I received him as Lord and Savior. No. You have, by this time, for how long you have known him as your Savior and your Lord, you have compiled so many and tremendous things that have increased your faith more than ever. And this is what happened here. He's not going to grandstand during the wedding how great he is. He was doing this so that his disciples will start to believe. If we could say, even as much as Mary already believed in him. In all those compilation of experiences and encounter with this Jesus. There was faith, and Jesus was the object. And that is why during this celebration of Mother's Day, sometimes we can but see how wonderful it is to be at home, especially when there's a mom and dad and the parents are there. And you would really be relishing and cherishing every moment that you have godly parents, godly mother, godly father in the home. And this is what would be the challenge for us today. Mothers, if there was one thing that you could project as legacy, is that your faith to Jesus. Parents, your faith to Jesus. Because in this life, there will be many challenging situations that you will find. But one thing you must do, and let's say it, invite Jesus to be with you. Let's say Jesus is at home. The kind of Jesus that can reveal his glorious presence. So that the more we see that, the more we are engaging with him, our faith will increase. And we will believe and let him reveal his glory daily, moment by moment. That even though you are far away from your children now, if they have been grown up, you know that you are still there interceding for them, trying to reach out to them and praying that God will work out and be there and touch them as much as he touches you. Because the greatest people who could be give that real testimony of this reality are those who have believed and trusted him in their lives. If there would be the most essential thing, that they would say, what's in that house? What's in that family? Can we say it all together? Jesus is here. Jesus is here. And hopefully the children will say it. Jesus is here. And then the greatest thing is a lesson from the mother. Do whatever he tells you to do. let him do it his way. His wisdom is higher than ours. His ways are higher than ours. So next time we come to Jesus, don't teach him and then just don't tell him how to help us. Instead, our prayers would be, I believe you are the glorious Christ. You are the powerful Christ. Have your way. Jesus, we have a problem. Jesus, we have difficulties. I'm presenting it to you. We're presenting it to you. Have your way. And let's be prayerful like that, even as this song will be our prayers as we go on.